So if you log into that REDCap link for GWU, this is the screen you will have access to. So you would log in through the GWU REDCap with your single sign-on. So the only thing you need is your net ID and password. So you see I entered mine here. And let's go to login. And this is the screen you'll see first, just like a welcome to REDCap screen. A lot of information about the features on this side, and just some information on who to contact on this side, and some more features. And if you go to my projects, you will see, well, you probably won't have any projects right now, but these are currently my projects. I would switch this over to Jimmy Bernard, who would go in more detailed information about the screens and start you on your project. To fully complete this training, you have to follow his instructions and make a project, and this will also be in a PDF that's been sent to you. And we would check to see if those projects are completed for the completion of training.
So just to walk you through what we see at the top screen, there's our home tab that has some basic information about REDCap here at the CTSI, my projects, which is where we can access any projects that we've been working on or are going to start. We'll come back to here in a minute to start a new project, but I also want to point out that this is where you can access this help and FAQ section is really useful. It's very detailed, so this should be your first place to go if you're having questions about how to do something. It's often in the help or FAQ, or as we'll see, there's a lot of REDCap tutorial videos linked into the different sections of REDCap. I'll point a few of those out in a moment once we begin our project. And so that might be the very first place to go if you're trying to do something in REDCap. And if you don't see a video tutorial embedded in the section of REDCap that you're in, then go to the help and FAQ. You can do a keyword search. There's some pretty detailed instructions here for almost all of the features of REDCap. There's also links to the training videos up here, so if you do want any video reminders, especially if you decide that you're going to start working with a new thing. For instance, today we're going to use the online designer. If you don't use that for a few months and you go back to trying to create a project, you might want to watch this 5-minute video using the online designer. Or if you decide at some point that you want to use the data dictionary instead of the online designer to create a project, you could go ahead go to training and videos and open up this 10-minute video on how to use the data dictionary. Just a quick explanation. The data dictionary, the online designer is what we'll use today. It's a drag and drop menu for building the project, and it's the way that 95% or more of our users build their projects. The data dictionary is a second way to build your project by essentially formatting a Excel spreadsheet or a Google Doc as a REDCap project. So you'll have to do this kind of one-to-one field matching, but it can be much faster to build a project that way, especially if you find that you're adding lots of new questions and things like that. The data dictionary can be a very powerful tool for building a project more quickly. So if you're interested in that, we won't really cover it much in the training today. I'll just show you how to get to it. But if you are interested in using it, I'd suggest watching this 10-minute video or reading up on the data dictionary and the FAQ. The other links up here are not so key. Send it is basically like an email function kind of built into REDCap. There's also REDCap Messenger that is similar to something like GChat, but it's built only into REDCap, and you could start conversations with people that you're collaborating on with the same project. And you could do things like tag specific records and such within the REDCap Messenger, so that could be a useful tool as well. The Control Center is something that you won't see on your accounts. That's just an administrative account feature. Okay, so now we're going to go to create a new project, and that's really what we're going to walk through for most of the rest of the training. So to start a project, you'd first see this page where you'd give a project title, select a purpose, and so on. So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to start by giving our project a title. So let's start by using today's date. For me, that's April 22nd, 2020. But for those of you that are doing this on another day sometime in the future, please put in the current date that you're in to this project title, and that'll help us track these projects. So I'm going to put in today's date and then REDCap 101 training. We're going to select, for the purpose of the project, that it's practice or just for fun. I'll note here, though, that if you were doing a research project, this is where you'd put some of the required fields for research projects, such as PI name, email address, and IRB number. I'll leave it on practice just for fun now. I'm not going to put in any folder. I don't need any notes. And we're going to start our project from an empty project, a blank slate. And this is the way I recommend starting the vast majority of REDCap projects. There are a couple other options. You could also upload a REDCap project from an XML file. You would really only do that is if you had a collaborator that had already built a REDCap project and you want to use a very similar project. You could ask them to export their REDCap project as an XML file. That will not contain any data from their project. It'll just contain their instruments, so basically the structure of their project. So you can upload that and basically create a clone of the project. Or the third option is you could select a template from below. However, I really caution people against using templates from below. Even if you're doing a lot of basic demographic information, it will often be less smooth and take more time to sort of coerce this basic demography template into exactly what you want for your project. So again, I really recommend the vast majority of time creating an empty project from a blank slate, and then taking it from there. So that's what we're going to do today, and we'll click Create Project. Okay, now we really see our home base in REDCap. This is the menu that you're going to be interacting with the most frequently. So this is called the Project Setup tab, and we can see Project Setup here. And if at any point you ever get lost in REDCap, you might be embedded a few menus deep into some of these other tools. And if you want to get back here, the best way to do it is by going to this top left menu bar and clicking Project Setup. That will always take you back to this location. So if at any time in the training today you get a little lost, think typically the first place that you want to go is back to Project Setup, and then you're usually only a click or two away from wherever you're trying to go. Okay, so let's start now by, I guess I'll walk you through a few of these menus. First, we have main project settings. We're not going to deal too much with this today, but this is where you would enable surveys if you wanted to use surveys by clicking this button, or if you wanted to have repeating forms for longitudinal data collection, you would click enable there to enable those. If you finally got IRB approval for your research project and you now wanted to add that IRB number, you'd click this, modify project title and purpose. And if it was a research project, you could then enter that information here.